Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. AMC stock is up almost 4% today. This is well outperforming the S&P, which is down about 0.5%. We actually have some good news to go over today. Some news that has not happened in over 20 years. This should be extra good news because AMC is the main beneficiary of this news. We're going to get into what this news is here in this video. We're going to look at what's going on in the markets today, why stocks are trading lower. So we have some work to do. The work is cut out for us here in this video. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. And let's go ahead and get into it. So like I said, AMC stock is up about 4%. You are now above $7 per share. I've pointed this out before in other videos over this weekend, and we'll talk about it here in this video as well. But $7 starts, what could be some form of a gamma squeeze, right? You have a lot of option activity at the $7 call, $7.50 call, $8 call, $8.50 call, and even to the $9 call. Like 10,000 plus contracts held at those strikes. So that could help fuel, to some degree, a gamma squeeze. Now, let's get into this news first things first. It says AMC estimates Beyonce's Renaissance film topped box office with $21 million debut. It says $21 million in ticket sales, multiple media outlets reported on Sunday. Citing the film's distributor, the concert film marked the first time a picture has opened over 20 million on the first weekend after the Thanksgiving weekend in 20 years, the Associated Press reported. The film, which opened on Friday in 2,539 theaters across the U.S. and Canada and Mexico, also took in about 6.4 million in 94 markets internationally in the first 3 days, the Wall Street Journal reported. AMC did not immediately respond to a request for comment by MT Newswire. So this is probably why AMC is up about 4%, a little bit over 4% now at $7.15 per share. This is, breaking a 20-year stretch that movies really haven't done well in the weekend after the Thanksgiving weekend itself. So this is seen as a little bit of good news. It's kind of unfortunate because 2024 we just have such a small lackluster movie slate. We're not expecting a single film is going to cross above $300 million in 2024, so it looks weak on that front. But if this film can turn into a successful one, it could be good for AMC's numbers, as AMC is the sole distributor of this film, basically showing the movie and acting as the studio as well. So we'll see what ultimately that does. The markets are taking this as good news for AMC stock here today. You do have a short interest of free float. Let's go ahead and get into this data at 10.6%, $143.79 million worth of short positions. Days to cover 0.91, 20.96 million shares that are currently sold short. Shares out on loan 14.83 million. Cost to borrow 1.17%, utilization of 35.83%, and a short score of 57.72 out of 100. If you take a look at the option activity, we do have 3 orders totaling $265,000 with a positive order value of 55%. The 3 orders you can see today are a March 15th, 2024 $10 call for $71,000, a January 17th, 2025 $5 put for $120,000, and a December 8th $7.50 call for $74,000. The volume on the day today is 81.28% to the call side and 18.72% to the put side. The open interest looks insanely positive as well, over 4 times as many calls than puts on this week's expiration. You have an open interest 78.44% calls, 21.56% puts. So nobody's really betting the AMC is going to go lower this week. That is, definitive at this point, just based on the option activity that we are currently seeing. Now, a look at the option statistics here today. Let's go ahead and refresh this so we have the most up-to-date numbers. So far, you have 115,000 calls that have been bought. About 33,000 puts that have been bought. So again, very, very high ratios there. The $7 call seeing a lot of activity at about 19,000, $7.50 call at 24,000, and the $8 call at 20,000 today. The $6.50 put has 11,000 for volume today, and the $7 put has 6,000 for volume today. So some of these calls are way larger than the puts. And if we take a look at the option chain, the $7 call has 15,000 for open interest. The $7.50 call has 14,635 for open interest. The $8 call has 13,000 for open interest. $8.50 call has about 10,000 for open interest. And get this, the $9 call expiring this week has 63,000 for open interest. That is over 6 million shares that would need to be bought, around $9 per share. Now, technically, you have to factor in the contract price as well to get the actual break even. So the $9 call expiring by this Friday is going for $10 a piece, 10 cents a piece in option terminology. That means the break even is $9.10. So by the time AMC gets to $9.10, really $9.08, $9.07 in that range, market makers will have to go out and buy a lot of shares of AMC. So that could help push us into a gamma squeeze as well. We'll talk about this a little bit more in the next video, but just wanted to give you guys an overview of that. It could be pretty exciting if AMC stock does continue to run. Now, like we talked about as well in the previous videos, we do have some earnings this week. The big one that's going to potentially affect AMC stock is on Wednesday, and that is GameStop. GameStop, has rallied a little bit here recently, and it's kind of set up for a continued rally. The expectations are low. GME tends to rally after earnings, and the stock was just trading near its 52-week lows, well off of any high point that we've seen over the past 2 years. So could be set up, in my personal opinion, for a big beat to the upside. As we talked about as well in some of the other videos over this weekend, Tom Lee and Fundstrat believe that we will see a zigzag to a soft landing and a FOMO Santa Claus rally towards the end of this year that could see the S&P 500 rising about 5.5% from the current prices. But they do expect there to be some down moves heading into the November jobs report, which is this Friday, and the November CPI report, which is going to be next Tuesday, and then the Fed meeting, which is going to be next Wednesday. So we do have some volatile catalysts here over the next couple of days, and really the next 2 weeks or so. Today, we didn't have any big catalysts to speak of. Tomorrow, we are going to get ISM Services PMI and JOLTS job openings. That will be, these will be very important pieces of data. And then coming on Wednesday, really not too much. Thursday, not too much as well. I do believe you have the ADP employment change, though, that does come out. Let's see. This is on Wednesday. You will have the ADP employment change. That will be important. Kind of give us an indication of how that jobs report might come out on Friday. Thursday, again, you really don't have much. And then Friday, you have the big data for this week, which is non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rate. Right now, we're still expecting around 180,000 job ads for November and a 3.9% unemployment rate. Michigan consumer sentiment expected at 61.8. But really, what matters is the 5 and 1 year inflation expectations. 5-year inflation expectations have risen a lot recently, expecting them to rise again. And 1-year inflation expectations have risen a lot to 4.5%. We're expecting them to remain the same, still at about 4.5%. So we do have some data throughout the rest of this week to contend with. Now, if we take a look at what's going on in the markets today, really not a lot that is you know, a big deal. I will say there's a lot of smaller pieces of news that are coming out, but really just nothing that's a big deal across the board. We've had 5 up weeks for our markets over the past 5 weeks. You're giving some of that back, okay? 10-year treasury yields are up 6.5 basis points. No rhyme or reason for this because rates have fallen a lot recently. They're recovering a little bit. That's pretty normal. Oil is down. Gold is actually down as well today, which is pretty interesting, but no specific news to actually go over that is really explaining why the indexes are down like they are today. S&P down 0.5%. The NASDAQ down a little bit more than that. Some stocks like Nvidia is down 2.5%. Apple's down 1.3%. Tesla's down 0.5%. I mean, AMC up almost 4% is a very strong day on a day like today. TLT is down about 1%. USO is down about 0.5%. The dollar is up 0.5%. And gold is down 2.26%. This is actually great news because gold was starting to worry me a little bit because it was just continuing to rise and rise and rise, kind of suggesting something was maybe sinister going on under the surface, but it looks like we're taking a breather there. So that's a little bit of good news at the very least. But again, it's just a little bad today across the board, right? Bond yields going higher, the dollar going higher. Not exactly, the greatest setup for a green day. So that's kind of what's going on right now. You are seeing stocks are actually recovering a little bit here as we are speaking. So it wouldn't surprise me if stocks can end the day almost break even or maybe slightly in the green. Wouldn't be a huge shocker at all. If you look at the RSI for AMC specifically, it's at 40.12, so you're under the neutral level of 50. That does suggest that maybe we could rally further from here. The MACD line is pretty neutral overall, just converged, kind of trading sideways. Nothing really too big to speak of there. Your 50-day moving average is at $8.65 per share. If you do see an up move, that's probably where you're going to get some resistance. If you break out above that, then you can get into a potential full-on gamma squeeze around $9 per share. But you have to get above that 50-day moving average first things first, guys. So that is going to go ahead and do it for this video. That's what you need to know so far here on the day today. Let me know what you think about this move higher for AMC stock. In the meantime, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.